Boom. I think that worked. I think I just had to end it. Because apparently I had to program on 3 times, which is odd because I only clicked it once. But apparently, and the computer was shut down. I don't get that. Let's see. We should be back up in a second.
Okay.
Again, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's no problem. Technical issues happen.
Yeah, but we won't have that issue on Monday. I'll be using that laptop. Okay. Let's see. I'll wait for the thing to pop up. And once I see that we are officially back on, we'll start chatting again.
Okay. And the game is official. Dallas won 24-22.
Wow, that's an odd score. So I wonder if it came down to a 2-pointer.
I didn't actually see it. May have. Wait. No.
Oh, it
because they were up 24-14. So it came down to
a field goal. Wow.
Yeah. And the field goal kicker was hurt, so they couldn't kick a field goal.
Yeah, that sucks when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But technically, you can have your punter
drop kick it.
Drop kick it, yep. You can do that. But you have to be really accurate with something like that. But, oh, that could, because I would have tied it. All right, let's get back to it, my friend. I hit the wrong. Did I hit the? No, okay, I'm back. Good luck to we roll. Yeah, woo. All right, here we go. We're back. All right, and of course I'll edit this out, because I'm recording it as well. All right, you ready? You have anything else to say before we go on to AEW?
No, like I said, I just think that was the thing, is that nobody could do that tribute and do it justice, besides Hogan, just because of the history he had with Mean Gene.
Yeah, WWE and of course WCW. All right, so yep. I mean, of course, rest in peace, Mr. Oakland. Dude, he definitely will be missed, and his legacy will live on the WWE network. And for some reason now I'm not being seen on. Oh crap! Because I know why. Oh, give me 1 second. I might have to deactivate, activate. There you go. I'm back. Alright, I don't know how to do that. Alright, let's go into that. Sorry, the freaking computer is acting up. Alright, so let's go right into the AEW. Now, of course, everyone, the biggest speculation that you've been hearing for the last 2 months is, where's Cody Rhodes going to go? Where are the Young Bucks going to go? Where is Adam Page going to go? A lot of people were speculating there were going to be surprise entrants at the Royal Rumble. A lot of us were hoping that Cody would not go back to the WWE because he left to create a name for himself, and he did that, and he did it beyond everyone's expectations. Not seeing you made the show better. I see that. But yeah, Cody did a good job, like, building his name outside of the company, and here we are. Now the speculations, what are they going to do? What's the next step? And of course, you saw it on New Year's Eve at 3 in the morning. I was going to stay up, but I was like, you know what? I'll wait. I'll wake up first thing in the morning and watch the video. And of course, they posted a video, the All Elite video. Not only showing that there will be a second All In named Double or Nothing, but there will be an AEW. What did you, by any chance, catch that video at all?
Yeah, I've actually seen the video. I saw it later that day.
And given what you saw, like, isn't it more exciting knowing that there's possibly going to be another option out there? and most importantly, I mean, it's not going to ever take, like, no one's ever going to compete the way WCW did. It's just, it is the way it is, especially now. WWE is too big to be knocked down like that. But it could definitely help them and help the wrestlers to be able to, you know, get some leverage, especially if they want something. And especially creatively, because, you know, there's a lot of people on the roster like Shinsuke Nakamura and Zack Ryder, just name a couple, that are not happy of what's going on creatively with them. They could go off to there and maybe be a big name. Given by that, like, because all we know right now, of course, they're going to have the rally next Tuesday, which right near where SmackDown's being held, which is kind of funny. What we do know so far, these are the people they have signed: Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, Adam Page, SoCal Uncensored, and the first female was Britt Baker. The owner, obviously, going to be Tony Khan, of course, co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, which he invested $100 million of his own money to finance the promotion. And again, I already said that they will have a rally in Jacksonville at the TIAA Bank Field at 5 p.m. January 8th. And as of right now, they have no TV deal, but TBS or TNT has been mentioned as a possibility. First question: does AEW have to be on TV immediately? In your opinion, do you feel that they have to be on immediately?
I don't necessarily think that they have to immediately be on TV, but for them to be relevant, they're gonna have to have some way of putting out content, whether it be using an application like Twitch or something like Fight TV or something like that. They are going to have to be able to put out content if they don't have a TV deal, because if they aren't putting out content on a regular basis, they're not going to stay relevant enough to be able to even make a dent, let alone try to rival Impact Wrestling or let alone WWE.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want a TV deal. You want it on a good network, because we were all speculating why Impact Wrestling went to Pursuit, which is a channel that not every cable provider has, because it's something they own. And it's a wise move, because they always could take it off their lineup and put it on a network. So I guess it's just a placeholder for now. Now AEW, yes, you're right. They could be on Fight TV. They could be on YouTube. They could be on any streaming platform, because in 2018, who the hell's watching TV? Like, for every bit of content. A lot of people use the phone. They use the tablets. I mean, there's other options now. And it's not detrimental that they have to be on TV right away. Because look at Impact when they first started in 2002. They did a weekly pay-per-view you had to pay for. And was able to still land a TV deal 2 years after that they created the promotion.
Exactly.
So,
because of the growth that they had on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. And the fact that they know how to market it. The thing with the Elite, come on, look what they did. They sold out 10,000-seat arena because they did a YouTube series. I mean, they market themselves perfectly. And Cody and the Young Bucks, they have a great mind for promoting themselves, promoting, obviously, AEW now. They're going to get out there. They're really going to get out there. Plus, the popularity they gain streaming when they get into a better network. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and even if they don't get a TV deal right away, they'll be fine. Fight TV, YouTube, if you keep it going, I mean, I watch MLW. You should look at the views they get for their weekly shows on there, because not everyone has beIN Sports on there. Not every cable provider has that. So they do put their full shows on YouTube, and they get thousands. And especially, that's for a promotion that's been only around for a little over a year now. And we did discuss, could they stream the content, but the other question is, now you got the list of people. Now here's the list of people that are going to be free agents. These are the biggest names right now: Chris Jericho, Marty Scurll, Shinsuke Nakamura, Gallows and Anderson, Goldust, Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, Neville. Now, Neville actually is not currently under a contract, but he's going around promotion to promotion doing his thing. Out of those lists, who do you see going to AEW?
Well, I honestly I know that Shinsuke would be a possibility, but Shinsuke will know definitely after next month because his contract with WWE actually ends next month.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho, I could see as a huge possibility because of his relationship with the Young Bucks. Also, Gallows and Anderson, I don't know. It's possible, but it's going to depend on how their recent push on SmackDown goes. Because if their recent push on SmackDown continues to grow, then I think they will stay. AJ probably not, because AJ knows that he only has so much time left in his career, and the only reason that AJ would go would be a lighter schedule.
Yeah, well, not only that, I agree with you on that, because that's the main reason why he wanted to drop the title. I have a little different take on that, because he was around for when NWA started, and a lot of veterans, when they're on their way out, they want to help someone. Like Abyss said it in his Hall of Fame speech this year perfectly. While you're on the top of the mountain, reach your arm down and bring someone up with you.
Mm-hmm.
That could be his departure out of the business, is to help a promotion get a start and go to the right direction. And I'm sure Cody would take a lot of his input because, he's been in the game a lot longer, been very successful at it. I think it would be cool for him to do something like that to help a promotion on his way out. We saw what he's done at WWE. The guy's had a title for over 2 years out of the 3 years he's been there. I think he's done enough. There's no more he could do. In that short amount of time, he's done everything he needed to do. I think that would be great for him. That's my opinion. We would only see in time, though.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. And then, of course, Neville, I can see, just because of simply because of it would be a landing spot for him, and then his dislike of the WWE, and then also with Marty, I can of course see it, and Goldust, of course, with it being helping his brother out, then yeah, Kenny is going to be an if, because Kenny's contract expires at the end of this month. Rumors are that he's already had an interview, but already had a meeting directly with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they have offered him a very, very hefty multi-million-dollar deal.
You know what? And this is where I think they might have a chance, all right? Because with that, like with the big, contract, when you got a guy like Tony Khan that has already invested $100 million, I'm sure a lot of that is going to go towards salaries. The rope in the big names like a Jericho or Kenny Omega. I think they had the money, but you know what? We'll compete. Because if you want to get this off the ground immediately, you're going to need a big name like Kenny Omega or Chris Jericho or Shinsuke Nakamura or Martis Girl to get it off the ground. You need a name like that. You know what? A lot of people are speculating he might go to WWE. There's still that possibility. There's always that possibility that he wants to be a part of a revolution. It's like ECW all over again.
Yeah, there is a definite possibility of it. That's why I'm saying I would not put it past him to go either way. Just simply because it is a huge possibility that he would decide to go with AEW, but you could not blame him for going with WWE because, I mean, he's already started the perfect storyline heading into WrestleMania with his Twitter feud with Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that could already be, that could be an angle that's already set up just from, the way that that's going. That could be the perfect way to segue into his first angle. And who better than to have his first big match in WWE with?
Player. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that would be a good one to start out with. Again, I mean, only in time we'll find out where he's going to go, where all the other big names are going to go. But like I said, the final question will go into Raw. We already discussed this, but I guess we could just talk about it real quick. It's how would it have an effect on WWE? Because it will, not as far as ratings, not as far as like it's going to take money away, but there was a possibility, in my opinion, the only effect it can have is that it's going to people that are unhappy creatively with the company, they could go off to AEW and create a name for themselves. And the fact that this is going to be as far as a promotion, a new promotion that started, this is the most, like the biggest promotion with the, financial backing since WCW. So, I mean,
Exactly.
I think there's a chance that they could steal some of the good guys over there, good workers.
Yeah, I do think that is a huge possibility. Um, and I do think that it will be possible um, that some guys will defect from WWE to AEW. It's just it's gonna be dependent upon which guys that go, simply because some of them may be good workers, but and it's gonna be also what aspect that AEW focuses on, because if they focus more on the in ring and not do as many promos, then that would be fine. There are just some guys in the WWE that are excellent as workers, but the reason they hadn't been getting pushes up until he recently was because of their promo work.
Well, it's also, I get what you're saying with that, but it also, when you're micromanaged, how can you relate, like, they tell you what to do, like, oh, here, we need you to get this out. Okay, well, I can do this. Well, no, you got to do it like this. I know, like, with acting, you're given a script, and you got to, perform it in your way to really get that emotion out of the fans in some kind of way. When you're micromanaged, I think it takes away from a lot of wrestlers, and they can't do it because of that. I'm sure if they were off on their own to do what they need to do, know the guidelines of the FCC and all, just don't push this, don't push that, go ahead, make something out of this. I'm sure they would do a good job, and a lot of people would get over organically. The thing with WWE is the biggest word you hear about them is micromanagement, and I get what you're saying, but there might be some people that would be good at it. Just they're not given that chance.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
All right. Well, in time, I mean, obviously, we're going to get more information on January 8th, which is this Tuesday, of what's going on. I guess we're learning about Double or Nothing. Speculation they say it's spring of 2019. The event will be held, but as far as who's going to be there, where it's going to be, I guess we'll find out. But one thing I do know, because it's been reported here in Philly.com, Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia has been contacted as a possible venue, which is a lot bigger than where they held All In, because that's about 20 plus thousand. And they said there were other ones, but Philly.com did report that today. All right. Well, now that we have nothing else, let's go right into it. Let's go back to the world of the WWE, and let's give our Raw review. A few big things happened that night, of course. And, like I said, we're going to cover everything, but, I mean, we got to cover the major points of the night. And the one thing they did, it's unbelievable. They start off with a cage match to start the show. And again, these were pre-taped, so we kind of knew, but I'm not the one that goes for spoilers. I want to watch it without knowing the outcome. So I went into it not knowing, and right away, steel cage match, McIntyre and Ziggler. Of course, 20 minutes it took for the match, and McIntyre gets the win with the Claymore kick. I'll tell you right now, I was a big fan of the match. Do I think it's going to be the end of the rivalry? Probably not. They'll probably do one more in some way, somehow. It depends where they go as far as the Rumble. But right off the bat, I'm going to ask you, what'd you think of the match?
I think it was an excellent match because it wasn't a squash.
No, it wasn't. He took it to him.
I mean, we going in, you pretty much knew because of the push that it was going to be Drew McIntyre winning. But it wasn't a squash. It was a perfect back and forth match. And the way that for them to put Dolph Ziggler on the way that they did and to have him egging on McIntyre to keep bringing more and more was excellent, because it also, the end of it was a perfect way to, if indeed he is being written off TV for a minute, write Dolph Ziggler off television.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as that, I did like what they did there with, bring it on. His contract's coming up soon. And you know what? I forgot to mention that. What if the possibility of him going to AEW? Because he's coming up, and they even said he was unhappy with what they were doing with him, and so that angle with Drew McIntyre and then Strowman, like they were doing that triangle thing, and then back to just him, and McIntyre. I think he might be off television for quite a bit, and would they get one more match? We'll see, but I think they're going to focus on a Rumble and who's going to win this Rumble. So I enjoyed the match. I mean, I'm always been a sucker for a cage match. And this one, did not let me down. It was a pretty good match. One question, and we'll go on to the next topic overall. Where do you see Ziggler and McIntyre by the end of this year?
I see Ziggler as still one of the hardest working guys in WWE. I see him possibly being one of the top faces on Raw, but I don't see him in the world title picture. And if he does come in the world title picture, he won't win it. But I see Drew in the biggest feud of the year, because I see Drew eventually feuding with Braun Strowman over the world title.
Okay, you want to hear mine? You might shoot me for it.
Go ahead.
I was speculating that it was going to be Miz and Bryan for WrestleMania. Obviously, they switched that up big time. Big time. Something's telling me, this is my prediction, bold prediction right now. At WrestleMania, it's going to be Drew McIntyre holding that title. That, I see, for some reason, I see that happening. And I could be completely off. But the way he announced, he came about, talk about being in the Rumble. Now that I'm done with this, I want to focus on that. Yes, it is a generic thing. But you've seen the push over the time. Think about the losses he has had since he came to the main roster. What's the only one he's had?
What was it? I don't think he's had a single.
Ziggler.
Has he? Yeah.
It's the only one.
The singles loss.
Yep.
With the interference from Finn Balor.
Yep. That is the only one he has had since he's been on the main roster. Every other one, the Battle Royal, the Tag Team Battle Royal for the Tag Team title, the number one contenders, with the B Team one, Ziggler was eliminated. He wasn't. Mm-hmm. Any loss that they had as a tag team or a 6-man tag, it was Ziggler that took the fall. And of course, they protected him for such a long time. They built him, and you knew that he was a guy that was hand-selected by McMahon when they first brought him in the first time. He had such high hopes. Obviously, it just didn't work out that way. He left, made a name for himself, came back, decided to do the NXT route. Now he's up on the main roster and had tremendous success. He's put on great matches. I see a feud between him. I think you're going to see the end of Rollins and Ambrose going into WrestleMania. And I see a possibility you're going to see a program between Rollins and McIntyre, but McIntyre holding the title, Rollins chasing. I knew there was a reason they had him drop the title to Ambrose. And we'll get into it because I have my little mixed feelings about Ambrose at the moment. But like, I'm reading all these things and just like something's telling me it's a possibility he could be the guy holding the title at WrestleMania. At the end of the show, he could be the guy holding the title. But I could be completely wrong. And
no, I do think it's a huge possibility. Just like I think that it's a possibility that Braun Strowman may actually. I doubt it, but I think it is a possibility that Braun Strowman may actually win the title at the Royal Rumble.
sorry, that would be a good one. The only thing, Strowman and McIntyre, it would be a good match, but I think it would be because it would be McIntyre carrying it.
Yeah.
Strowman has limitations. That's the only thing. I don't want to shit on him because he is a good performer, but he is very limited. You're not limited when it comes to Galloway or McIntyre. I'm sorry, I keep saying Galloway. Drew McIntyre. There's no limitations with him, as well as Rollins or Ziggler. But there are limitations. I don't know. Again, we'll see where it goes. Honestly, a better match for me at a WrestleMania would be Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar going at it. And if there's any guy that could take down a beast, it would be that guy. And it would be nice to see that happen.
Right.
All right.
My biggest issue with that would simply be this, and then we can go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be hard to put Drew McIntyre in that situation and not do a face turn.
Mm-hmm. At this point, I think it could go either way. And you know what? A lot of people responded to him in a very positive way, so I could see that happening.
Right. But I'm saying it would almost be putting him in that situation would almost be an automatic face turn because so many people don't want Brock as the world champion.
Yeah. But it could be like that people cheer and then go to the Raw the very next night and they could just do something for him to go back to being the, we're going to hate you again. And the way creative is, that is possible. Yeah, again, like we said, we'll see. That's the beauty part of this. I just read for what, I see. And, of course, we'll give, our predictions of how we feel, how we interpret what we see. But we're only seeing in due time. And I can't wait for it as we go into the WrestleMania season. But 27th, we'll find out for sure who'll be challenging the Universal Champion at WrestleMania. All right, well, you have anything else? And we move along. You good?
No, I'm good.
Okay, let's go right into it. I mean, talk about opportunities. There was a guy that was given a huge opportunity, and I was so glad to finally see this. Because I will say to preface this, Magriff and I, and D-Shep even agreed, we talked about this back when he was splitting from Titus Worldwide, and that's Apollo Crews getting an opportunity. This guy deserves an opportunity. He hasn't had anything since he was on Smackdown, and he had great matches on that brand. Here he is on Raw, and it kind of like just faded away after a while. Here he is getting a huge opportunity. In the beginning of the night, he competed in the Battle Royal where the winner of that Battle Royal faced Dean Ambrose later on that night for the Intercontinental Championship. Crews eliminated 8 guys in that Battle Royal, last eliminating Baron Corbin for the win. To me, it was obvious that he's getting that push. As far as his performance at that Battle Royal, how'd you feel he did?
I think it was an excellent performance. I do think that it could have been possibly. I know they were trying to make him look strong.
Yeah.
It could have been possibly a little bit too much to have him eliminate 8. But of course you want to make him look strong. If you're gonna have him win that, you want to make him look strong in that Battle Royal so that it doesn't look like you're just feeding somebody else to the wolves.
Yeah, the biggest criticism on social media that I saw was that the people they had Zack Ryder, which we'll talk about in a second. Curtis Hawkins. It's all the guys that weren't really doing anything with anyway. But you had people like Finn Balor. You had people like Baron Corbin. I mean, you can't toss it aside. Either way.
Right.
Yeah, he won the Battle Royal, but I think he did even a better job going into the match with Dean Ambrose. But go ahead. You were going to say something. I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say that it made it, but you can't just, like you say, you can't just have, I mean, you have these people like, the reason that you have a person like Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins on there is because of what's been going on. The fact that this was Zack Ryder's only appearance on Raw in 2018. The fact that Kurt Hawkins has lost over 200 straight matches. So yeah, it does allow that element of, okay, well, what if this person won? Even if, because we all know that it was predetermined that he was going to win.
Yeah.
But it gives that element of, okay, well, what if Zack Ryder won? What if Kurt Hawkins won? But then you bring in, okay, Finn Balor. Well, maybe they're going to have Finn Balor win. So it gives that element of not knowing who actually is going to win when you have those different aspects in there.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I mean, he just, overall, at the end of the day, I felt this way for a while. He needed something like this. He needed a push. And regardless, you could have put anyone. You could have even put bigger names in there. And if he only eliminated two. The fact that he came out on top, it was a big moment for him, and it was a big push for him. The thing I hope is just they don't take that Roman Reigns approach and trying to force it. Allow him to do something. I think if they could allow some creative freedom, I'm sure he could come up with a way to get over. There was a pop, though, even in some points of the match. There was pops that, during a Battle Royal. You were seeing some positive, reactions from the fans. I just hope they don't take it and try to force it, because then that will only hurt the guy.
No, let his progression and him getting over happen naturally. That's when it happens naturally and it's not forced, is when the superstar actually gets more respect from the audience. Because if it's one of those that they're over because of their push down people's throats, then you get the Roman effect, which is you have and some people will not agree with my opinion on Roman Reigns, but you have what people within the industry call the hardest working man in the industry.
Yeah.
Being hated by fans because they feel like that he was pushed down their throats. So, that let that happen organically, and you won't have that effect.
Yeah. And you know what? Despite the fact that he was shoved down people's throats, I always said, though, that man could have been the biggest heel in the history of the company. I think he has that ability to be that guy. But the sad part is, once he comes back, regardless, he's going to get a tremendous pop when he does return. Because, with this battle with leukemia, that's... I can't see him going that way now, but during that time, I was like, I would wish they would just turn him. Man, he has that potential. I said it on the show numerous times, he oozes heel to me. The way he talks, the way he walks, everything just screams heel to me. I was hoping they eventually would do it, but it's not going to happen. But yeah, with Apollo Crews, I just hope they allow it organically. Just let it happen. Let him do the work. He obviously showed in the Dean Ambrose match, which we'll discuss. But before we go on, do you have anything else you were going to say there?
Oh, well, no, I was just going to, piggybacking on what you said about Roman.
Yeah.
The perfect time for them to have turned Roman would have been the WrestleMania after he beat The Undertaker.
This is my yard now. That was a perfect moment. And
that was the exact time that they should have turned it.
Yep. And
but
they didn't.
Now there's no way to turn. I mean, when he comes back, like you said, he's gonna get a huge pop. what we're gonna have to see after that is how the fans take to him, because he's gonna get that huge pop initially, but then we're gonna need to see where it goes from there, and see that's another thing is to see his character evolving, because his character hasn't evolved, and that's the other thing that a lot of people hate is that they haven't evolved his character that much the entire time he's been in WWE.
Yeah, when you go with any kind of split whatsoever, whether if you were to go heel or face, I mean, you always got to change everything. The look, theme song, like when Becky Lynch went quote unquote heel, because that's technically what they wanted her to be. I mean, you have to change like everything with her, like the look and everything, for it to be believable. You've seen it in the past. When Hogan turned heel, what did he do? He went from red and yellow to black and white. It changed his look, theme, everything. I mean, the only one with Ambrose that they did, they added that an obnoxious freaking horn to his theme song. Other than that,
I hate that.
And that ugly jacket. Other than that, I mean, at least they did something. But yeah, if you're gonna change it, like breaking from the Shield or anything like that, you have to change it up. And then we always said that. That's the one thing they should have did and never did. But yeah, I mean, I guess like when he comes back, we'll see what they're doing. And probably in this time, I'm sure he's thinking of things, how he's going to change it up a little bit. I'm sure once he does come back, and he will come back. When he comes back, I'm sure it'll be something different. All right, let's go right into the next thing. Of course, we discussed Apollo Crews won a Battle Royal. Later on that night, faced Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. Very slow building the match, though. But it wasn't as far as Crews. I noticed something, and I'll ask you real quick too. But of course, Dean Ambrose did get the win with the Dirty Deeds at the end. But what did you think of the match? Because I started to notice something, and I'll tell you right after I get your take. What did you think of the match?
I think that they did well again with making sure that Apollo Crews looked strong throughout the match and giving him a decent amount of offense. But I've noticed that, especially since his return and bulking up, Dean Ambrose doesn't work the same that he did previously, and his whole character at this point has, to me, become slightly stale.
I was wondering if you saw that too. I think with the tag matches, they were kind of disguised, and you really didn't see that. And the matches he had with McIntyre and Ziggler, I guess they kind of disguised it too. And we saw with the match with Rollins, and nothing against Rollins, but that match was just a boring match.
Exactly.
When he won the title, and then you see this, it's like Crews brought a lot of energy into that match. I think he pretty much saved that match. And the one thing you did see that with the amount of offense he produced, it's like, wow, it still was a big push because he dominated a good push in that match, if not about 3/4 of it. And Dean was lucky to get out because he snuck that Dirty Deeds in and won. To me, I thought it was good for Apollo Crews. He didn't have to win, but it was a great first step for him on his push, and we'll see where they go from that. But yeah, that's the reason I asked you that, because I noticed that. I wanted to see if you noticed. Dean's not on the same par as he was before the injury. I wonder. I guess, like you said, he bulked up a little bit. It could be other things, maybe the fear of injury again. To me, it's not the same Dean Ambrose that we saw a year ago.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I think for one, it's him bulking up is potentially slowed him down some. And he just doesn't. I don't think he has the same work rate that he had previous to the injury. It just seems like something is different than before. you can't quite put your finger on it, but you just know that something's different.
Yeah, and I hope they do something with that. I hope he does something. I hope he evaluates himself and just goes, "Oh, this isn't working for me." But again, we'll see. Yeah, this isn't the same Dean Ambrose, and I was excited for his return, and you saw the different look, and it's like, okay, I mean, he looks bigger, and it had a negative effect so far. Um, but overall, I mean, I was happy with it as far as how the match ended up, despite the fact that Apollo Crews didn't get the win, but it was still a big push for him. And he did,
Right.
in my opinion, did a tremendous job trying to make something out of that match. You have anything else before we move on?
No, I think that's basically the entire matchup was just good offense from Apollo Crews and Dean not working as best as he could, and then ending it with the dirty deeds.
All right. Well, hopefully, if there's going to be a program, hopefully, as far as Dean Ambrose, it gets better. Because
Yeah.
if not, man, this will be a true test for Apollo Crews to make something, polish a turd, I guess is the best way you could say it. All right, so moving along. Later on that night, well, this actually happened before the Battle Royal. Seth Rollins came out, addressed the WWE Universe, and saying that he's demanding his title shot, his rematch for the Intercontinental Championship. He was later interrupted by Triple H and informed Rollins that he's not guaranteed a rematch for the IC title. Real quick, what do you feel about the McMahon's taking that automatic rematch clause out of the whole storyline thing?
I think it's good because then we know, like specifically, we know things like Brock losing the title, he's not gonna automatically be put back in the title match the next, Now they may put him back in there just because it's Brock and he may threaten somebody, whatever. But just instances like that it allows for variety in how they can book the matches now, where it's not just this person gets an automatic rematch because they had the title, so we have to give them a rematch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it is a great dynamic. I do like that because it gets boring, but yet even though we're going to see a third match between Bryan and Styles, but I think it's going to be the conclusion that you finally would see the end of that. Yeah, I do like that they took that out. I really do. So going back to it, Triple H again informed him that he wasn't getting that guaranteed. Instead, he had to show that he was worthy of that rematch. And I think that was pretty good. He also pointed out that Rollins hasn't had that aggressive attitude that he once had when he was the protege, when he was with the Authority back in 2014, 2015. And he pointed that out. And, of course, that was starting to get underneath Seth's skin. They were going back and forth and was interrupted by Shane McMahon. And then he said they will make their decision as far as the rematch based on his performance against Bobby Lashley. And of course, later on in that night, Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins go off one-on-one match. In my opinion, pretty good performance from both guys in that match. I was really impressed, mostly on Rollins' side, but Lashley, man, getting better by the week out of nowhere too. Match ended in a DQ when Rollins started to show his old ways. When to be that aggressive guy, and he nailed Lashley with the steel chair. First question for you: what did you think of that match?
I actually liked it. I thought that it was good back and forth. Again, like you said, I like the fact that they are allowing Lashley to be Lashley and show his amateur prowess too, and not only just oh, I'm strong, I can pick you up, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
But then also letting him evolve his character, and then just the good back and forth between the two, and for Seth to end the match that way after the exchange with Triple H, and I had to go back, and I went back earlier today and watched the exchange again just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. But I think the exchange between Seth and Triple H was the perfect setup to the finish of how the match ended.
Yeah. It came together rather nicely. I agree with you on that one. Um, Overall, I mean, yeah, I agree with what you said with Bobby Lashley. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to show off my, oh, how strong I am. But all right, now you got to show it more than just that. Go up against, competitors like Seth Rollins. And man, at 42 years old, he can still do it. And it's good to see. And you're going to get a few more years out of him. But in that time, man, I was hoping, because we discussed this way back. I'll say back in May or June, when he was in that rivalry with Sami Zayn. We were saying that, like, Lashley should be a heel, because if you've seen his work at Impact, the guy is a great heel.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he gave him the mouthpiece, I was like, taking away a little bit from it, but I was like, you know what? No. It's that annoying little pest, along with what he does, actually works. So, I mean...
It actually helps with his character.
Yeah, it does. It does. And overall, I enjoyed the match, and I don't know if we're going to see a program with them. In my opinion, I think a good program with Lashley would be Finn Balor at this point. I think that would be, in some way, you could incorporate them too and build a nice little program that doesn't involve a title. This is why I wish to go back to brand exclusive pay-per-views where you could have non-title matches on the card, because that would be a good one. So yeah, going along. I guess we kind of did discuss this a little bit, but we'll go into it in a little bit more in depth. What do you think of some of the old Rollins coming out?
I liked it because, that Seth has put on so many great matches in 2018, but once he lost the Intercontinental title, it's like, where does he go from here? And instead of being stuck with chasing Dean Ambrose,
yeah,
it perfectly sets him up to go back into that world title picture, because if you think about it, the ruthless, as he said, Seth Rollins, was the one that cashed in during the Roman and Brock match at WrestleMania.
One of the best cash-ins ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think it sets him up to be able to go somewhere with his character now, instead of just being stuck in that rut of, I'm putting on the best matches on the show week after week, but there's nothing else for me to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you do put on these matches, but where has it gotten you? IC title and not in the world title push with it. This guy deserves to be that guy. He should be challenging Brock Lesnar. He should be in that picture. Whether it's Raw or SmackDown, I think he might be one of the guys that might go to SmackDown when they go to Fox, but because that would be a good name to have on there. But overall, I mean, he should be in that picture. He shouldn't be feuding with Dean Ambrose at this point. Let it go. All right, he turned. Okay, you had your match. Maybe one more at the Rumble, and then that's it from there. But I think he announced on social media or a house show that he is going to be at the Rumble, right? He said he was going to be in it? Yeah, I thought I saw that. I wanted to make sure. But overall, I agree with you. He should be in the title picture. And I hope he is. And like I said, going back to what I was saying earlier, if it was chasing McIntyre for the title, that would be a great program. Go a few months, go into the SummerSlam, and whether if you eventually have him drop it to Rollins, that would be great. If not, I mean, I think that would be a tremendous program between the two. And you got to resurrect that title because it's been completely tarnished with that jackass Brock Lesnar holding it. Sorry, that's a little objective. I apologize, but I don't like that son of a bitch.
No. I completely understand. I am of the mind that the title could be so much better.
Yeah.
If it was held by somebody that's on the show every week.
well, Roman Reigns and It's a Sin what happened, but man, I think he would have done a good job resurrecting that title. Just It's a Sin because of what happened. You know, we won't see that. But whether it's McIntyre, whether it's I doubt it would be Strowman. I don't think he's going to come out on the title this year. I think maybe later on next year. I could be dead wrong with it, but I mean, they had to finish off what happened before. They had to do that. That's why you have that match at Rumble.
Right.
Yeah, so they got to bring that title back, and I'm hoping it's either going to be McIntyre or Rollins bringing that back. Another question real quick. Well, obviously you said you liked the way it ended, but the one thing that scared me in that match was the way that Lio Rush awkwardly took that curb stomp. I got two questions for you. How do you feel about that? And do you think the WWE is going to react to that again and possibly say, you know what, how about you cut off the curb stomp for a little bit?
I don't think so, just because of the fact that he just really brought the curb stomp back. So I don't think they're going to react to it specifically, because you also have to understand that Lio Rush is one of the best sellers in the company.
Just the way he sold the way his head awkwardly went down. I was like, oh my God, he's dead.
Well, but you also have to see that when he pushed, like when Seth went for it, you'll notice that Leo actually pushed up off the mat a little bit so that he could do the sell that he did. So I think he did it on purpose to sell it like that.
I hope so, man, because that was scary to see.
Because I went back and watched it, and I watched it in slow-mo, and he actually, like, when Seth goes for the step up to do the curb stomp, you see Leo actually push up off the mat some, and then he sells it. So I think it was done purposely like that.
And damn, he did a hell of a job, because I really was sold on that. And I was like, wow, he's dead. It just looked way too awkward, but hey, kudos to him if he, if that was all perfectly done that way. Kudos to him. The way to sell that. It's kind of like the Rock selling the Stunner. It was kind of like that.
Yeah,
it could be that level, man. All right, well, we reached the conclusion of Raw, and at the end, after we cover it, we rate the whole show altogether from 1 to 5. For what you saw, great one. How would you rate Raw?
I would say, I would actually say probably a 4.
Oh, really?
Only because I did see, you saw really good stuff.
Yeah.
It would have even been probably a 4.5 had Dean actually worked like the old Dean.
Yeah.
But I gave it a 4 because that I saw that could have improved. There was some other stuff like just small stuff, like you get kind of like I'm ready to see more evolving of the women's tag title stuff.
Yeah.
And the putting the 6-man match, the 6-woman matches. Yeah, I can see, it's a 3-woman group with the Riot Squad, but putting 6-woman matches on there every week, just to get the women on the show, give them more, give them time to actually do something, which they've been doing more of. But give me a little bit more.
I think they should have their own show at this point. I mean, I think they have enough juice to do it, but I guess they're afraid that ratings will drop, because it's like, oh, some people that were tuning in for Becky on Smackdown, they're not going to, because now she's not on there. But I'm sorry. I mean, if you use your talent correctly, you won't take much of a hit. I think at this point, you should give them their own show. That's my opinion.
I don't think you should give them their own show. Not saying that they're not worth their own show. Um, but I don't think at this point that it would be conducive to them, uh because if you take all of them off of Raw and SmackDown, then um for one, you're gonna have to find a home for the show. If you put it on the network, not everybody's gonna be able to watch the show.
Third hour Raw. I mean, SmackDowns are really good because you keep it at 2 hours. Everything's nice and tight. And the fact that you can't overlap on the third hour anymore, I think it would be good for them. Just make it a 2 hour show, and it would do so much better, and give women the third hour. I mean, it's a 3 hour block. I think they would pull out a much better show for Raw if they just keep it at two, like they do on SmackDown, and give them the third hour. That's one way you can do it. But you said it won't be good for them.
I just don't think it would be as conducive for them at this point.
We can agree
I
to
think it
disagree
would
on
be
that.
good eventually. I just don't think at this point that it would be the best thing.
All right. I just say I think eventually it would be a reaction because you got the women of wrestling landing the TV deal. So if it's gonna create a buzz, they're gonna react to that. So that's why I say they jump right now and do something. But if not, it's just gonna be like, oh, here you go. You're gonna play it off like you're the first to do it, where you had a program that's been going on, and you're just reacting to it. And this is the
Right.
opportunity where they can. Again, I mean, that's been a huge discussion, and like you said, it might be a year or two before they might actually get it. But I was kind of hoping they would get it sooner.
Oh, I understand.
What's that?
I said I understand. It's a possibility. It's just that, like I said again, um you don't want to set them up to fail either.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
this
I guess, yeah. Nah, you're right with that. It will probably have to take a whole different creative team that will get all of them. And, yeah, I get what you're saying with that. Oh, all right. All right, so we're done with Raw. Let's go right to SmackDown. And, I mean, there's only a couple things to cover, obviously. And that's you had the Lynch and Cena segment. And, of course, your fatal five-way for the number one contendership for the WWE Championship at Royal Rumble. First, we'll start off with the Lynch and Cena segment. Cena, of course, came out, it's the first of 2019, and he came out to address the WWE Universe. Blah, blah, blah. He says he wants a superstar to come out and give him a reason for being there. Okay, you could tell that I wasn't too excited that he was there. Of course, the man came out to respond. Of course, gave him a few jabs and about that she is the future and he is the past. But the one thing I did like is that the one line I love is that I won't be the only woman to drop you this year. And even though it's 2019, but you get where she was going with that. And then, of course, Selena Vega and Andrade Cien Almas interrupted it too, and Selena did all the talking, pointing out that Cena has came and gone, and Becky has lost their opportunity. That them, meaning Andrade and her, are the future of the company. This little exchange resulted in a mixed tag match where Becky and Cena got the win, with Becky threw Selena in the disarmer, getting the victory. My question for you, real quick, what did you think of the initial exchange between Cena and Lynch?
I actually really enjoyed it. We all know that John Cena is good on the mic.
Oh, yeah. That's the one thing I do love about him still, but
Yeah.
yeah.
He's always been able to be great on the mic no matter who he's in there with. And to have John Cena on the mic, and then to have the hottest wrestler, not male or female, but the hottest wrestler
Yep.
in the business right now, on the mic in there with him, and they be able to go at it and fire back at each other was just epic. And then for them to for Zelina Vega to come in, and she actually stepped her game up to be on par with them on the mic. Just for that instance, at least, I think that whole exchange, I think, was perfect to set up the match.
Mm-hmm. The thing with her is like you noticed that with back at the 1000th episode of SmackDown when they had Edge on, and it was like they did a segment. They gained more heat for Becky with insulting someone that was loved like Edge. This one was a different thing. It was a rub like not to get heat though. It's like it's actually got her more not heat, more of a pop. I like that part of it. Also, like Almas, that Zelina Vega doing the talking and getting them in a match and really showing the talents. My question for you though, with the match, knowing what happened at the end of the segment, did they still hurt Almas with him losing again? Do you feel like he was hurt by that, or do you think it helped him a little bit?
I don't think it hurt him because he didn't submit or take the pinfall.
I get that point, but what has he really won since coming up in the main roster?
He almost has actually, even though he's won some matches, he may have lost against the big names as of right now, but he has put on some of the best matches since he came up. Mm-hmm. No matter who he's been in the ring with, he's been able to consistently put on good matches.
No, that's not even debate. I agree with you. That's not even debatable. My only thing is that wouldn't it be good? How would it hurt John Cena in any way, shape, or form if Almas was to pull off a victory? Even if it was like a cheap way, pulling the tights, anything. You know what I mean? Just any cheap way to get a victory. Would it hurt him if he was to get a bit, win over a big name like John Cena?
No, I don't think it would have hurt Cena at all. But you don't expect Cena to lose in his first match back.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, I could agree with you on that.
You don't expect Becky Lynch to lose to Zelina Vega.
Well, I don't. Even if I don't think she'd be hurt anyway. She is so piping hot right now. I don't think anything could hurt her.
Yeah, but then, I mean, you're right. It's nothing would hurt her character right now, but it would also cause a lot of backlash.
Yeah, there would be a lot of negative feedback.
Yeah, it would be a lot of negative feedback for her to lose to Zelina Vega. And then, like I say, for it to be Cena's first match back since filming the movie, it would be hard for him to just come back to lose his first match.
Yeah, I guess I'm just a mark for Cien Almas's performance. Like, I think he's a really good wrestler. Enjoy every match he does. I think it was just, to me, it's like, okay, well, you know what, Cena has nothing left to prove. I thought it would have been, like, cool for him, like, but, like, I get what you're saying as far as everything else. First match back, you don't want him to drop the Almas right away. You definitely don't want, Becky to be harmed in any way. I get that point. I just want something, because he's not. It's been reported that he's not comfortable with creatively for him, meaning Almas. I'm hoping they do something with him eventually, because man, he is such a great talent.
I think that they are gonna do something with him, and I think he's gonna be built. I think eventually, if the feud between Rusev and Nakamura doesn't continue for whatever reason, because I think that's a feud that could do good long term.
Yeah.
But if they don't continue the Nakamura and Rusev feud, I would say look for Almas to be into that feud, because Almas is besides Randy and Daniel Bryan, Almas is the hottest heel on SmackDown.
I agree with you. That would be an excellent program for the U.S. title. Him and if anyone that can bring out more out of him, Rusev could be that guy right now. I know a lot of his not getting that push has to do with the guy can't speak clear English. Mm-hmm. I know that has a lot to do with it, but that's why you got a voice like Zelina Vega, and she's so good on a mic for a woman that can really hold her own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't need him to speak. He does enough he does a lot of speaking in the ring. Allow Zelina Vega to do it on the mic. Let him do it in the ring. And, I mean, I agree. That would be a great angle. And it would be a great program. They should run with that, man. As a matter of fact, let's send that off to WWE. Maybe they'll listen. All right, so you have anything else before we move on to the last thing we're going to talk about on SmackDown?
Nope.
All right, let's go right into it. In the beginning of the night, you had Samoa Joe and Jeff Hardy going one-on-one for the fifth spot for the number one contendership, the Fatal 5-Way. Winner goes and faces the WWE champion Daniel Bryan at Royal Rumble. Of course, Hardy didn't get the win. Samoa Joe got the fifth spot. And here we are, the Fatal 5-Way for the number one contendership. I'll tell you right now, it was very fast-paced, a lot of action. My only complaint was that it wasn't long enough. I wish it was longer. It was so good. Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed, that Ali really shined in that match. Of course, Styles gets the victory at the 450 Splash. Real quick, I'll ask you right now, what did you think of the match? Great one.
I think it was an excellent match. I do think, as you stated, that Mustafa Ali actually had a terrific showing in the match.
Yeah.
I think that they took the time, within the time that they had, to make every wrestler look strong, without hurting anyone. I think that it was a great showing. I do think that it would have been. I do think that Joe was the right choice, just so that it wasn't, basically a bunch of faces and one heel in the match.
Yeah. Honestly, if it came down to Joe or Jeff Hardy at this point, I'd rather have Joe. Jeff Hardy's done everything he's need to do in the company. Joe is yet to win the title outside of the NXT level. I'm hoping eventually they can throw him a bone and give him that chance. I think he will knock it out of the park. But honestly, this is me. As far as who I wanted to win the match, I wanted to see Ali win. And I was discussing someone yesterday about this very same subject. And they're like, why do you want Ali in the match? Why? I mean, you have all these great guys that could challenge Bryan for the title. You got Styles that can put on another classic match. Why do you want Ali? Why? Because it'd be something different. And that's what they're promoting right now. The McMahons are saying, we're going to give you something new and fresh. That is something new and fresh. Yes, it's an opportunity of a lifetime for someone like him. But we have seen it before. We've seen it in 1993 with Razor Ramon. We saw it in 2004 with Bob Holly. Why not do it again? Royal Rumble's been in the pay-per-view for matches like this. Why wouldn't they go with that again? It's beyond me. That's me. That's just me on that.
I think that I completely understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, though, that it would be kind of soon
for him,
for Ali to get a title shot.
Yeah, that was the rebuttal I got from my friend when we were discussing that. He said it was too soon, but I was like, I mean,
don't get me wrong. Anybody that's followed him knows how good he is.
He is really good. Yeah.
Unlike your compadre D-Shep, anybody that's watched him in 205 Live, and especially watched the series of matches he had with Buddy Murphy, knows how good he is.
And you know what's funny is that a man that shits on 205 Live has been very positive as far as their matches on the pay-per-views, especially the ones with Buddy Murphy. I just have to throw that little jab at him. And I'm sure he'll be watching this later because his old ass is sleeping right now.
Yeah, that's why I messed. That's why I did that.
Oh,
But yeah,
definitely. I'm with you on that, buddy.
I just think that would be the one thing that I would say is that if they could, uh, I would even say if you wanted to put Ali in there, um, make it a triple threat, simply because,
That would be a
uh,
great match between them three.
right, it would be an excellent match between those three.
It could
You
work.
could also, if you wanted to extend, if there was a reason to extend the AJ and Daniel Bryan feud, you could actually then use Ali in the match at the Royal Rumble to take the pin.
And you won't hurt it, and you can continue it on. Great
Yeah,
buffer.
exactly.
Yeah, it's a great buffer. And it wouldn't hurt him because that's a huge opportunity. And he would shine. I became a mark for Mustafa Ali. The first match he had, because, of course, the only thing that scared me during his time that he's been up in the main roster, it was that freaking fall he had on Daniel Bryan's head. Man, was that a scary moment when you saw that. And that, unlike the Leo Rush, that was legit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just became a big fan of him, and selfishly, I wanted to see that. Obviously, they're going to continue with possibly the third and final match between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles at Royal Rumble. I mean, overall, man, that was an incredible match, and I just wish it was longer. That was the only complaint I have about it. That in the end.
Me too.
All right. Well, we covered the two major things that we wanted to cover on SmackDown, so let's get right into it. For the conclusion of SmackDown, from 1 to 5, how would you rate it?
I would actually give SmackDown I would say a 4.25.
Okay.
Just because Becky Lynch is so on fire.
Yeah.
That whole opening segment was excellent. It was basically, with SmackDown, you really didn't have anything to say bad about the entire show. So it was a consistent show from start to finish. So I would say, 4.25 in that range.
All right. I actually forgot to give my ranking for Raw when we were covering that. I'll give that real quick. 3.5. I know I'll get shit for that, but SmackDown, I would give it a flat 4. And there was some things like the women's match kind of took me away. Didn't hit for me. And it doesn't happen often, but for this instance, it just didn't hit for me. Overall, I mean, it was a good show. Of course, the match of the night that stole the show was the Fatal 5-Way for the number 1 contendership. Oh, I mean, it was a good show, and I can't wait till next week though. And I can't wait. We're about 23 days from the Rumble. We're about 4 weeks. Man, I can't wait. And of course, we'll be live streaming that on this very channel. A live reaction show, the Royal Rumble. And I'll let you know as far as the takeover the night before. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the whole weekend off. If I can, I will broadcast both nights and do a live reaction show. And if you want to join me, you can too, buddy. We'll watch it and hang on. Okay, all right, let's go into the final segment of the night, and that is the list. There. The list is our version of WWE Power Rankings. We give our top 5 guys of the week. I actually forgot to ask you to do that. I don't know if you did do that. I don't know if you have one. That's fine if you didn't. That's my fault. I should have said that. Unless if you can think of one, I'll give mine real quick. And if you want to come up with one as on the fly after I give mine, you could do that. Okay. Here we go. Here's my top 5 for the week. Number 5, Drew McIntyre getting a big victory over Dolph Ziggler to start off the show on Monday Night Raw. An incredible match. Good showing for him. Can't wait to see what he can do at the Rumble. He's number 5. Number 4, you have to go with this man, Apollo Crews. big opportunity, getting a great push, and I think he excelled. He did a great job. Can't wait to see what's next for him. He is my number 4. Number 3, I have to go with AJ Styles. The reason for the fact is that he beat 4 other guys. They have the opportunity to face Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at Royal Rumble. So he's my number 3. Number 2, Becky Lynch. You can't go, without question. Anytime she shows up, money, she's always going to be in my top 5. Now, she can't do anything wrong at this point. She did a great promo, like you said, going back and forth with John Cena, having a good match, getting the victory over Selena Vega with the disarmer, getting the victory for her and Cena. That's number 2. And of course, my number 1 is to the legend, Gene Okerlund. Thank you for everything you've done. And man, he will be missed, and he is my number 1 this week. All right.
Okay. Well, my number 4 would actually be, well, my number 5 would be Dolph Ziggler.
Okay.
I mean, just because of the quality of match that he and Drew McIntyre put on.
Okay.
It was an excellent match. My number 4 would be Drew McIntyre, just because he continued his momentum.
Yeah, definitely.
My number 3 would be Mustafa Ali, because he continues to put on great matches. Even without receiving a win this week, he but not being pinned either. But he continues to put on those great matches and put on matches that steal the show.
All right.
My number 2 would be Becky Lynch, because she is still red hot as far as her character is concerned. And that it would have to, if I would be like a 1A, I mean a 2A, 2B, it would be Becky Lynch, and I would actually put Zelina Vega, just because of the ability to step into that role and carry or complete that whole segment with her promo. And then my number 1 would also be Mean Gene, just for the simple fact of all the memories that he gave throughout his career. So yeah, that would be my top 5.
And it was a very somber week in the world of professional wrestling. And yeah, I mean, we all have to acknowledge the great things he has done for the business. And I mean, again, be missed, but his legacy will live on in the minds of every wrestling fan, and also in the WWE network. All right, well, that will take us to the end of the show. Final, you want to get you want to plug your channel and everything before we get off?
Sure. We do. My Twitch channel is twitch.tv/thegreat1_1999. We do a full Call Universe on PlayStation 4. We normally stream that on Sundays. And then you can find me also on Twitter at thegreat11999. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook.
All right. And of course, you can catch this show. If you don't catch us live, don't fret. It's okay. You can listen to it on podcast form. We're not only now, we're on. Here we go. I got the list off the top of my head. We got it on SoundCloud. We got it on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on Google Podcast. We're also on Anchor.fm. That's where we pretty much put our podcast and it goes out. We're on various platforms, but of course you can catch us on YouTube if you want to watch it on video form. And you can follow the show. I'm at wrestling_go. The two men that weren't with us tonight, now we wish them, a speedy recovery, as they're both dealing with shoulder injuries. D-Shep at D-Shep 1979. I think that was more old age with D-Shep, though. I think he did something and blew his arm out. And then, of course, Magriff at Magriff 86. We wish them the both a speedy recovery. Again, they're both dealing with issues with their shoulders. It's I hate to see anyone go through that kind of pain. I've seen it quite a few times. Again, we'll be back Monday, as a matter of fact, as far as our first ever show with the great one here. We're going to be covering the pay-per-view, Impact Wrestling's Homecoming. We're going to do a full review on that. And then, again, we'll be back next week with a whole new episode of the Go Home Wrestling Show. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. For everyone that tuned in, and we saw a couple of followers that followed this channel beforehand. One of them was currently in chat. I'm going to make sure I get the name right. Malgus72 is one of them. He's in there right now. Thank you so much for following. And we had one more. Let me get that real quick. QKey73, thank you for the follow as well. And again, for people that listen to this on podcast form, we actually are live on YouTube, Mixer, Periscope, and Twitch under the Go Home Wrestling Show if you want to chat with us in real time as we record this show. Again, everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on the Go Home Wrestling Show. Later, everybody.